The One Beyond planned a rematch between Wyrms of Nyrus and SRP. It was time to see who was stronger after they had both evolved, growing stronger and reworking what was broken before. Will the Wyrms be able to wipe out the Parasites this time? Or will Scape and Run devour the Wyrms once again? Subscribe to watch more infection carnage across the realms. Alright, what is up? Welcome back for another infection war. It's gonna be another SRP video. I decided I wanted to do another rematch with the Wyrms of Nyrus because there's been a few updates since the last time I've done it, and I didn't really think there was gonna get any more updates, but apparently someone picked the mod back up and started to update it again. So I'm not gonna complain because it's a pretty cool mod. So anyway, this time I'm gonna be doing 2 rounds. So for the first round, I'm not gonna do anything, and I'm just gonna let both mods do their own things for however long they do it for, and like yeah, whichever one has more land taking and more mobs, like in the world, will win that round. And then the second round will be doing, I will spawn the visitor in, and then also I will summon a beacon. I don't know what stage yet, but yeah, probably like 2 or 3, not 4, because that's too high up, but 2 to 3, and give it time to grow. But that's besides the point, because I'm not doing that for this time. So let me go find a spot where I can just chill and we can watch as the meteorite crashes down and the visitor spawns. This realm started off relatively peaceful, with the factions inhabiting it occasionally fighting when another invaded their territory. This all changed when the parasites and the Wyrms invaded. Parasites came crashing down on a meteor in the center of a lake. While the Wyrms appeared from the visitor, the worm in charge of spreading the worms and creep across the realms. Both had to spend time growing their armies before they could determine who was truly the leader of the Infection Alliance, members stuck in the 1.12.2 realms. The worms might have only had this singular unit at the moment, but the parasites were still stuck at the buglings, currently requiring them to evolve to the next phase before they could fight. The Wyrms had amassed a small army full of variants of a singular worm housed in a structure formed by the creep. The creep would play an important part in the worm's growth. The Wyrms sent out scouts to find the parasites with a soldier following behind to protect them. While this army of elites were powerful, they proved no match against the parasites with such a small army. The Wyrms were wiped out for the time being, having to wait for the visitor to drop new worm pods. While the parasites were in a better position than before, they still hadn't reached the stage to infect the realm with their biome. It would take a few more days after the Wyrms were wiped out, the first time to infect the land. The parasites had started the spread of their infected lands. They hadn't reached the development required to create a parasite biome, but they had a few Nexus parasites spread around, spewing out infected grounds and parasites. While the beacons were important, the infection started elsewhere, spreading closer to the lake to start. The first beacon spawned in between the forest and jungle. The beacons weren't long lasting, as they would be killed shortly after spawning, barely reaching their full potential. Even without the beacons, the infected lands still grew in size, but not strength. The parasites had evolved enough to spawn in a colony. This new colony would help the parasites build up their biome, turning this realm into a parasite's realm, integrating it with the parasite hive mind. While the parasites had just created their colony, the worms were working on rebuilding the army. The visitor had moved farther away from the infected grounds, but couldn't fully escape the parasites. The worms had amassed a larger amount of soldiers this time, with a few variants. Will the outcome be any different than the last? All right, so that's going to be the end of this one. Honestly, still surprised that there are any visitors alive, but even though they're still alive, I'm almost 100% sure that there are none. Like, what are they called? The Wyrms, however you say their name. Visitors, one's over there. Trying to find their structures. Yeah, I don't see any of them. So even though the visitors are still alive, I think I'm gonna have to give it to the Scape and there are a few, but I think I'm gonna have to give it to Scape and Run. They've managed to basically, like, I wouldn't say wipe them out, but they have more, 100%. Soon as Scape and Run gets over here, they're done. So I definitely do think Scape and Run deserves this round. You know, let me know if you think different. So moving on to the next round, we're gonna do basically the same exact thing, but instead we're gonna spawn in the Wyrms of Nyrus really early to give them like a head start from 20 to however long it takes until the meteorite comes crashing down. And then, so yeah, I will see y'all when I have that all set up. All right, here we are for the second and final round to see if Wyrms of Nyrus can match up against Scape and Run. I'm assuming it still can't, but who knows, maybe giving it some prep time, like at least 20 minutes before the meteorite comes down. Probably a bit more, I'm not really sure exactly how long, maybe more close to like 30 to 40. But yeah, hopefully with that 30 to 40 minutes, they can at least have some sort of defense like built up so that they can fight against the parasites more and not just be a one-side slaughter. So I'm gonna force the invasion. There we go. The invasion has been started, like properly started, so hopefully, you know, everything starts to happen. I'm assuming it will. So, you know, we're gonna spawn some of them down real quick. 1, 2 pods full of wormling. Okay, I'll do 3. That's 5. Damn, a lot more than I thought would come out of that. 1, 2. All right, and then 3. What's this one gonna? It's just, yeah, I guess it's just gonna be going underground and going around. This is definitely new though. I don't remember this being a thing. I like it though, it looks cool. Damn, they've already started to amass a pretty decent sized force. Hopefully, you know, the parasites don't just instantly wipe them out by crashing down, but I guess we will end up seeing. They are starting to get the creep though, which is what I want. We got some creep. This time, TheOneBeyond had given the Wyrms a head start and hoped they could overcome the parasites. For the few days the Wyrms had without the parasites, they worked on creating their own biome, the creep, to stop the parasites biome. There were a few Wyrms spawned in by the visitor, but it was still mostly the ones spawned in by TheOneBeyond. After a few days went by, the parasites came crashing down in a meteor, introducing this realm to the horrors of the hive mind. Days went by as the parasites and Wyrms fought over the realm, with the Wyrms kicking it into overdrive to infect the realm as their own. parasites fought back, but the creep biome proved to be immune to the parasite spread. The air was the only place the creep couldn't reach. The knights proved to be the deadliest, with the parasites, worms, and native wizards all fighting for the realm. By the end, the parasites weren't taken out, but couldn't carve a chunk of this realm just yet, leaving it to the worms for the time being. All right, so it's been like 25 hours, and that head start definitely gave the worms of Nyrus a pretty big like uh head start. Basically, I couldn't really think of a word besides that. Definitely gave them time to properly build up before the parasite spawned in. There's a fair few new like structures I've never seen before. Never seen this one. There are a whole bunch of parasite mobs though, so that does seem to be, like, still their domain. They're winning over, like, the mobs. I don't really see any Nyrus mobs at all. There's some wizards here and there that are somehow managing to survive. I really don't understand how the parasites haven't killed them. The Nyrus are managing to infect some of the parasite blocks as well. I'm not really surprised about that. I do think the parasites are gonna win at the end though, because by the time like when they get the ability to spawn their nodes and everything, they're definitely gonna just infect the lands again. Or maybe they won't. Maybe Nyrus wins in terms of like the block infection, but you know, the mobs parasites will always win. I don't think there's ever gonna be a single mod that has the ability to beat parasites when it comes to their like fighting capability and how strong they can be and how long it would take for you to kill them. Like, see, look over here. There's still normal mobs and everything, but most of them are like parasites. Maybe not over here. Over here, there's not that much, I guess. Oh, nope, there are still some worms left. We got one right here. We got a soldier. Um, I don't know. Yep, another one over here. Are there any more besides those? I don't really see any. I think all the other ones are basically just getting wiped out by the parasites as soon as they spawn, because this one's above the biome and then the other one is over there. That's why there's still some over there, but this one, all of them are just dying. I also did forget to mention another one spawned. I don't know why it took forever to trigger the force start, force spawn, whatever the command was, but eventually I guess it did, or it just decided to spawn it. But it had two of them, so even with two of them, the parasites definitely gonna win. They got beacons and everything else everywhere. There's a whole bunch of parasite mobs. All it's really waiting for is for the evolution phase to reach a high enough phase. Probably, I think it has to be like phase 9 or something like that for it to gain the ability to be the development level 4, and then at that level it will be able to do a whole bunch of strong stuff. But currently there are still mobs besides like the parasites and everything. There are a fair few of them, to be honest, which is pretty cool. But that's really about it for this check-in. Worms and Nyrus are winning currently, in my opinion. Let me know if you think I'm wrong, but I do think by the end the parasites are gonna win. I don't think that the visitors are ever gonna die though, unless the parasites get some flying ones at the top. But for some reason they don't like to like fly all the way up to trigger onto them. I don't know if it's like due to how big the hitbox is or something like that. Who knows? But yeah, I'm gonna find another spot to chill and continue the time lapse. I think I'm gonna go on the edge, like over here. parasites decided it was time to strike back and try to form their own biome. They had created a colony in this realm, at the edge of the creep. The worms had no choice but to accept this for the time being, as they couldn't infect the colony. The colony started to spawn in parasites responsible for the creation of the buildings for the biome. It took a minute, but they started to work on all the different structures for the parasites, spreading them farther away from the creep. The worms weren't happy about this. The worms weren't happy about the parasites gaining their own stronghold, so they went full force into the direction of the colony, infecting the grounds under the structures, turning it into the creep instead. The parasites fought back, creating more structures outside the creep and infecting their own biome, so the creep couldn't infect under them anymore. All right, so it has been quite a while, and honestly, the worms did a lot better than I thought they did. I mean, thought they would, not thought they did. And the parasites did a lot worse than I thought they would. They just won't spawn a node for some reason. I feel like it's because they can't get a beacon stage 4 off. I think that might be what it is. They just can't get a stage 4 for some reason, which is really weird. Because I mean, there are some in some places like over there. It also is kind of laggy, so that could also be it's just not like being able to properly tick correct and do that. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely a lot more in terms of like Worms of Nyrus favorite compared to the SRP. They definitely still have the mobs, but you know, Worms of Nyrus still got the visitors and they have so much land, a lot more land than I thought they would. Yeah, they do. They still have a few here and there. They got one right here, a blue one right here. Um, any more? What about like in the biome itself? I don't really see any in the biome itself. So I think for the most part, like the parasites have just taken over in terms of mobs. But the blocks are definitely the creep 100%. This is like the biggest creep biome I think I've ever seen them make, which is really insane. Over here seems like a big battle happened from the beacon is what my assumption would be. And yeah, this one is dead. I don't know what ended up killing it. Something did. And the creep just continued expanding on this way, reaching a pretty far point, which I'm honestly really surprised about. And then the singular colony, which is over here somewhere, it might be that, I think. It just built a whole bunch of whatever these buildings are. Didn't really infect the land, but it built these colony parasite structure things, which I don't know what they can do. I think these are like something unique, but I don't know. But they've spread all over here and made a little like parasite city type thing. But I do think if I was gonna like give a point for this, the first round would have gone to the parasites 100%, and then this round would have gone to Worms and Nyrus 100%. Just because, but like even though they both could have gotten a point either way, well, that for this round they definitely both of could have gotten a point, but for the first round it was 100% the parasite. So win. Oh my god, man, twisted that way. But yeah, that is gonna be it for this video and the rematch between Worms of Nyrus and Escape and Run Parasites. Honestly, was a lot closer than I thought it would be for the second round. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed doing this and I am excited to see like what the new updates for them are going to be if they do continue updating it. I know the parasites are going to get updated more, but I'm excited to see what more Worms and Nyrus updates are going to be. I hope they like expand more on like the mobs and how they work. Or it could be completely done getting updated and there was the last few mob updates a while ago, like a month ago or something like that. But yeah, that's besides the point. Once again, I hope you all have a good rest of the day, and a peace out. If you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you and remind you to like, comment, and sub, as all three of those things will help me out a whole bunch. And if you have already done those three things and you still want to support me somehow, check out my Patreon and my YouTube membership. The link for the Patreon will be in the description of the video. They both give you access to different perks. Like my Patreon will on the highest tier will let you get access to my unedited videos, and you can also get sneak peeks of my future videos on YouTube. While the YouTube membership at the highest tier will give you access to my videos on early access, and you can also get a shout out for both the Patreon and YouTube at the end of each video. Thank you each and every one of my Patreon and YouTube memberships. Your names will be on the screen right now. Your support means a whole lot and lets me continue making content with more effort and just in general.